Good evening, Bucknutters. Welcome to What We Learned Live following Ohio State's 37-9 win over the Ohio University Bobcats. A little more dramatic than what we expected, but OU is a good team, defending MAC champs against the defending national champs. And speaking of Ohio University football players, we'll talk to JBook in just a second. His worlds were colliding. So an inauspicious start for Ohio State, but got the job done and then some, 37-9. It was sketchy there. It was 13-3 at halftime. And OU gets a touchdown, boom, to start the second half, 13-9. It's like, oh, geez, here we go. And then the Buckeyes restored order after that. But give a lot of respect to Ohio University. Very good team, well coached. I thought Ohio State dodged a bullet. Not dodged a bullet. That's not the right way to say it. Like, it's not like they would have lost. When Parker Navarro was knocked out of the game by Bo Atkinson, I was thinking it's going to be a long night for the Bobcats. And then they kind of hung in there. More than kind of. It was 13-3. And then Parker Navarro came back in there in the second half. Kudos to them. All right, let's get into what we learned. All right, the biggest thing that I learned, we're going to do three things that I learned. Biggest things. Bo Jackson has to play more. I know I'm just probably parroting what all of you are saying. I haven't looked at the comments yet. I will when we get my guests in here. I'll be joined by JBook, Heater, and then after post-game interviews, Pat Murphy and Steve Helwagen. I mean, Bo Jackson has to play more, right? I mean, I had one of my best friends texting me talking about Michael Wiley back in the day. I'm like, okay, that's a interesting reference. He was talking about, I remember thinking Michael Wiley should have been over Pepe Pearson. I'm like, okay, that's fair. I don't think he's wrong. Talking about like 96, but Bo Jackson needs to play more. Am I saying he needs to be the starter over CJ Donaldson? Maybe I am. I don't know. I mean, I trust Carlos Loughlin, but you could tell that they kind of went to Bo Jackson. They wanted to give the veterans the benefit of the doubt, and then kind of when the chips were down. So we learned Bo Jackson needs to play more, and I think he will. All right, we learned red zone offense, not good. And again, I think this is a big part of why the quarterback run needs to be a part of this offense. They had to bring in Lincoln Keenholz to run one play. Because here's the thing, if you're going to take the opposite point of view, I'll take it for you. Why do we want Julian Sand running the ball? He's a pinpoint passer. He's accurate. He's not a runner. He's agile. It's not like he's a statue. Why do we want him taking hits? Just throw the ball. Okay, I hear you. But I'm not talking about running him up the middle or anything. I'm just saying the defense, there's no way that they would ever expect Ohio State to do a naked bootleg, for example, or just any type of quarterback run. You need to have that as a threat, or it puts you at a numbers disadvantage because the defense knows they don't have to count for their quarterback run. So red zone offense, not good. It was terrible in 2023 with Kyle McCord. It was great last year with Will Howard, national championship. So far this year, what are we seeing? It's not that good. All right. Defense is awesome. That's another thing I learned. We still know that. I should have if I had a hat on right now, I'd have a pencil in my hat. Love it. The people that were and again, they had that one long play. Lorenzo Styles Jr. Hope he's okay health-wise, but man, that was bad. That was Marlon Kerner bad. Yeah, I went Marlon Kerner on you. I remember in 94 against Illinois, there was a play where Marlon Kerner got beat deep by an Illinois receiver. The quarterback underthrew it by about 10 yards. The receiver had to completely stop, catch the ball. Marlon Kerner then caught up to him, and then the receiver stiff-armed him to the ground. I was like, that's the worst thing you could ever happen to a defensive back. Not only do you get burned, but the guy then it's underthrown, then he stiff-arms you. So this defense needs to be better. Lorenzo Styles Jr. needs to be better. But overall, I really like what I'm seeing out of this defense. The last thing I'll say before we bring JBook in here, chill. I know people are going to overreact to this. This is a good Ohio University team. They came in here with a bunch of Ohio kids. as Ryan Day said himself, with their hair on fire. Played very well. Ohio State still won 37-9. Listen, if Ohio State won 17-12 or whatever, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you to chill. 37-9 against a good Ohio University team. I say let's chill, recognize things that Ohio State needs to do better, but I still really, really like Ohio State's chances. Have you guys looked around at college football? Do you see a juggernaut out there? I do not. I do see Jonah Booker, though. Worlds are colliding. How you doing, my friend? Welcome.
Oh, how are you? Let me turn this TV off in the background, watching all of these games here.
Oh, it's great. It's great. I know. Like, man, I mean, first of all, what's going through your mind when you're watching a game like this? You played for Ohio University, or you love guys. What's going through your mind?
It was one of those games going into it. My mind frame coming in was Ohio doesn't match up, but they're one of those teams that they're a veteran team. It kind of reminds me of NCAA basketball, Dave, where you have one of those mid-major teams where they're a veteran squad, guys that have played a lot of basketball together. And when you see them kind of like in the tournament, they can give you a lot of problems. That's kind of like this Ohio Bobcats team. Like, they've played a lot of good football together. Won the MAC last year. They've been to a lot of bowl games. This squad with Parker Navarro coming back, he probably could have moved up to another level. He decided to come back, and they were going to fight. But when you look at it pound for pound, they don't have the talent that Ohio State has. But they were going to buckle their chin straps. They were going to come in here, and they were going to compete as hard as possible. I thought Ohio State came in early and kind of just went through the motions, especially once they got into like the red zone there. But as far as the defense, I thought the defense played extremely well. There's a lot of things that you can probably cherry pick that you can look at the offense and say, yeah, we probably definitely need to get a little bit better in these particular areas before we get into the Big Ten play. But for me, as a Bobcat alum, play there, following Ohio State since I've been in the crib, and you and I, Dave, we've been working together for, over a decade, doing this and always want to see the Buckeyes do well. It was one of those things like I know what the situation was going to be. I knew that Ohio State was going to outclass. I wanted Ohio State to go in there, compete, do your best, and show that, hey, we're a smaller school. We don't got the athletes to win this game, but you know what? We're going to go in there and give it our best, and we're going to fight to the very end. That's what they did tonight.
Hats off to the Bobcats. We'll be rooting for them the rest of the year. Hopefully they repeat. All right, let's get to the things that we learned. Like I said, I know this is low-hanging fruit, JBook. Bo Jackson needs to play more.
Yeah.
We learned that, right?
Yeah. I mean, he averaged 12 yards a carry. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of a young Jamal Charles. Remember him?
Oh, of course.
Like he kind of has like that body type. Used to play for the Chiefs, where he's wiry, not the biggest frame, but he's very elusive. Just has that kind of knack to really get to the second level, like shifty. One of those guys that can put his foot in the dirt and get to point A to point B in a hurry. That's what he reminds me of. 9 carries, 109 yards, averaging 12 yards a pop. Like, I mean, all right, cut the games out. We're going into the bye week here. At some point, the talent rises to the top, and that's kind of what we're seeing here with Bo Jackson. I think when we're talking about the most God-given talent, it's obviously Bo Jackson right now. They're probably going to say, the cliches. He's a true freshman. We're worrying about pass blocking. We're worrying about ball security. Like, last week where he fumbled on the 2-yard line. But pound for pound, when it comes to talent, Bo Jackson is the most talented back here.
All right, red zone offense. I don't want to overreact to it, but the quarterback run has to be like a part of the red zone offense. And I don't mean bringing Lincoln Keenholz in for one play. Like, the red zone offense was terrible tonight.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, they also got down there inside the 3-yard line And you probably could have ran CJ Donaldson and scored early on there, especially against Ohio there, and they threw it a couple times. I don't know, man. It's interesting because this isn't just a Brian Hartline offensive coordinator issue. Red zone issues under Ryan Day, probably outside of Chip Kelly, Dave, has consistently probably been an issue throughout his tenure as a head coach. There's something to be said about getting these problems, out the way right now. Like, okay, we understand that this is an issue now. What are we going to do to rectify this problem as we get ready to gear up to go out to Washington, as we get ready to go out to get ready for Big Ten play? Because if you just roll somebody like you did last week, week in and week out, and you get into Big Ten play, and all of a sudden you're like, oh shoot, red zone is an issue now. Now that can probably hurt you a little bit more. But now this is why playing a veteran team like Ohio, Dave, really works well for the schedule. Because you knew you're going to beat Ohio, right? But Ohio is a good enough team, a veteran enough team that they're going to give you somewhat of a challenge that you can go throw in the film to say, hey, they gave us some problems in the red zone, but we got 2 weeks to get that cleaned up because we're going to face much better competition. But if you just had a let's say an Akron or a Central Michigan on the schedule and you rode these guys 63-3 and you're feeling great after just absolutely obliterating two back-to-back scrubs, now you're going into Washington and you're like, all is well, we're great, no issues here, our roses are smelling beautiful. Now you're like, okay, there's some things we need to work on, but it's nothing to panic. Like I said, like you were saying when I first hopped on, no need to panic right now.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Because I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, let's chill. This is a good Ohio team. Ohio State, they didn't win 17-9, they win 37-9. Defense still looks really good,
Right.
very good. They had that one big play the Bobcats did. Defense looks phenomenal. Punt returner Brandon Ennis, as soon as I said, like, we got to get him out of there as punt returner, he actually had a good punt return. So good. That was good to see. But your thoughts on the defense and the punt returner?
Yeah, defense. I thought the defensive line looked really good today. I thought they were pretty dominant there. I actually thought Will Smith played well when he was in there. Kenyatta Jackson looked really well. Bo Atkinson looked really good when he was in there. I'm curious to hear once you guys, and I'm not sure if they're talking to Coach Day, if we hear something tonight with Tywone Malone starting. I think that's going to be something to be curious about there.
You think that's because Edric had those penalties last week?
Right. I see. I don't know if they're going to give us the full story, Dave.
Yeah, I mean Edric's the starter. I think that was just them sending a message, dude. You can't have 2 pre-snap penalties. You can't do it.
And I thought it was fascinating. They caught the snaps of him and Matt Patricia hugging on the field pregame, and Matt Patricia's got his arm around him, giving him the pep talk, and giving him a pat on the head, and then Tywone Malone's going with the ones. But hey, I love it though. Like, hey man, we're holding you accountable. Like, you a 5-star, you a big dog. Like, hey, we know that you can play better than what you're playing. Those are mental mistakes. We can't have that when we're in a big time situation. Those are self-inflicted penalties because you weren't mentally locked in. And for them to say, hey, you're not going to start because of those penalties, I dig it, man. They're holding these kids' feet to the fire. But I'm curious to see what they say in the press conference. But overall, I thought the defense was solid, man. Like you said, they gave up that one big play, but I mean, 181 yards total. A lot of that was on that one play, and then the second team defense was there on that last drive in the last series of the fourth quarter. But once again, Matt Patricia's defense, they're probably going into the Big Ten play top 5 defense in the country. I have no concerns with the defense.
I'll get you out of here on this. Our guy Jermaine on Facebook. He's like, big up to Caden McDonald, Caden Curry, and Bo Atkinson. Exactly. Those guys, all three of those guys balled out. K-Mac, Curry, and Atkinson, hats off.
Yeah, they played well. They played outstanding. I mean, those guys were creating havoc up there, and Arvell Reese has 7 tackles. But when it was funny because you watched the Ohio offensive line, and man, God bless those guys. They were trying their best. And they were just like, holy smokes. Like at some point you just recognize, like, listen, I'm very grateful to be in this position, to be able to have an athletic scholarship and be able to have an opportunity to play the number 1 team in the country. But man, I'm giving it my all. But it's just one of those situations where I'm going against some of these dudes that's going to be playing on Sundays. and it's a whole army of them, and they're just coming at me wave after wave. You're just giving it your all. I mean, at one point on that Caden Curry sack, he just absolutely demolished the entire interior of the Ohio offensive line on that sack. I was like, good Lord, man. But not worried about the defense at all. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of grumblings about Brandon Ennis right now, about him being wide receiver 3. They're not getting anything. There's zero production coming from him right now, Dave. I mean, coming in, I don't know if it's a byproduct of Julian Sainz not looking at him per se, or it's a situation where he's just not getting open, or you have a situation to where you're saying, okay, Jeremiah's 1 and 2, and you consider Max Clare as your wide receiver 3, even though he's considered a tight end, and Brandon Ennis is kind of lost in the mix right now. But I think going into the season with Brandon being named the captain, a lot of people probably had a little higher expectations of what he was going to do this year, and we're not getting a whole lot from him. He didn't touch the ball. He didn't have a catch this game. I mean, he's not giving us very much right now. I mean, I don't know, Dave. And the grumblings are starting to get a little bit louder on the social media.
And they've got so many good receivers behind him and punt returners. Like you talk about, like Mylan Graham, like Quincy Porter, Bryson Rogers. It's like, man, I really like Brandon Ennis. And like that, he had a really good punt return. His last punt return that's exactly what I want to see. Get the ball north-south, bam, bam, bam. Break a tackle or two, go north-south. So I like that. Right. I love you, JBook. I know this was like a crazy game for you. I hope you enjoyed it, my friend.
All right. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Sounds good.
Have a good one.
You too, JB. All right. Now, you guys know, like, my favorite movie, right? Oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's Major League. Okay. Other than Major League, my favorite movie is Pulp Fiction. With that being said, let's bring in my man in Amsterdam, Heath Schneider. How you doing, my friend?
Dave Biddle, my man in Inglewood. What's going on?
All right. Your main takeaway from this game is?
My main takeaway from this game is Bo Jackson is RB1 next to for the rest of the season, just like I said last week.
Yes.
Just like I said last week. I remember saying it to you, and you were like, I wouldn't go that far yet. Well, so would you go that far now? I mean,
yes. And yeah. I wasn't saying I wouldn't go that far because I didn't think he should be. I didn't think Ryan Day and Carlos Loughlin would do it. I think they showed their cards tonight.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I'm over in Worcester, Massachusetts for the weekend. I'm visiting I'm with my wife and her parents, and we're visiting my wife's brother and his family. So we watched it over there, and I've rushed back to this luxurious hotel that you see behind me.
That is the most hotel background I've ever seen. I love it.
That's because it is a hotel, my friend.
Right.
But both he and I were watching. He's an Ohio State grad. and we were both watching. Every time they put Peoples and Donaldson back in the game, we're like, "What are you doing?" It's very clear what's happening. And on Bo's second play, on his second carry, you saw why he is different from the other two. He had a decision. He made it. He made his cut and go. He had a see hole, hit hole mentality, and he had a burst that the other two just don't have, in my opinion. Maybe I've missed it, and if I have, somebody pointed out to me. But we have a guy who has I don't know how many carries he has on the season. He had 9 or so, or 5 or 6 or whatever last week, and he had another 9 this week. So he has over 215 yards on less than 20 carries in 2 weeks. Feels like that's your RB1. That's my number one takeaway. Number two takeaway is probably, don't forget that Julian Sain is not a finished product yet. He still misses reads. He still doesn't go through all his progressions the way he needs to. He will make a stupid mistake, like trying to throw a ball as a defensive lineman is in your face and throw an interception that way. The first interception, clearly not his fault. A double tip ball, what are you going to do? That freak ball happens, oblong spheroid and all that. But he still walked away from this game with almost 350 yards on 25 of 32 passing. I feel really, really good about the state of quarterback and where it's going at Ohio State right now.
Red zone offense, where are you at on that? I'm concerned about the lack of the quarterback run because it gives you a numbers disadvantage.
Yeah, so I agreed. So it's interesting. I this week, in the past, immediately after the game analysis, I've done heroes and zeros for this week. For some reason, I went a stock up and stock down on things, and I should have put stock
people
down.
Take it too literally. When you say zeros, people take it too literally.
Oh, I know. Oh,
so
my
I
God.
think it's good that you did. I think it's good you called that audible, so to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, 100%. So I should have gone stock down on red zone offense because it looked awful. I don't know that it was play calling or execution. I would have to go back and rewatch it, to be honest with you, situation and all that. But I was shocked that you had to sit there. You went into the red zone, 3 times in the first half? Or was it 4 in the first half? It was at least 3. We had 2 field goals and a tutty. So
and they stuffed him once.
Yeah, and we had the fourth down stop. So I don't know if it's execution or if it's play calling. It feels like the third down throw to JJ in the corner could have worked. Maybe the ball wasn't placed right on the, where I'm talking, that play I'm talking about, third down in the corner to JJ, and it got knocked out of his hands. That probably could have had better ball placement.
Yes. Also, I don't like the fade.
No, I've never been a fan of the fade.
It seems like it's like a mini Hail Mary.
Right? Yeah, I get that 100%. And if you have somebody like JJ, I mean, we said it in off season, right? Hey, third and JJ, let's go ahead and throw it to him. But even on a 50-50 ball and he makes it 70-30, there's still 30% chance he ain't going to get it. Right? Now, I'll take that bet in Vegas. but when it's third down and you got to get it, it just doesn't feel like you said. It feels like a mini Hail Mary. It feels like there's so much more you can do with that. I was happy to see, by the way, for just one play, Lincoln come in and at least show it on tape so they have to plan for it, right? And they have to think. And if you bring him in once or twice a game and you rush him every time, when he suddenly, does a jump pass like he like you might think it's an Urban Meyer playbook, then suddenly you're scoring a touchdown from the 2-yard line on a jump pass. I'm all for that kind of stuff.
I love what I'm seeing out of the defense. I know they had the big play to start the second half. I know.
Yeah.
Overall, I love what I'm seeing out. I need a pencil in my hat right now, I think.
The Fighting Patricias are looking great out there. I I think they've allowed a score in 3 out of the 12 quarters they've played so far. I'll take that 100%. They allowed one in the fourth quarter to Texas, and in 2 quarters here. That's 3 as far as I can recall it. So 3, if I can shut somebody out 3 out of 4 quarters consistently, I will take that and bet you we win all the games. I would have very little doubt in that. But more than that, I mean, when I looked at Ohio's team stats until that last drive, I think they were under 20 yards rushing. They finished with 68 on 34 attempts, 2 yards of rush. A lot of that came on the last drive because I want to say I think they were at 42 yards rushing on 21 attempts, I think. So, and that was before the last drive. So, I mean, there was not a lot happening, only 181 yards total. I was really, really happy with everything they were doing, minus that one broken play. And not really a broken play, but poorly executed tackling, coverage tackling, all that, I would say was not anywhere on that play where it needed to be. The one thing in this game that did upset me were some of the pre-snap penalties. We had a couple of delay of game. We had a couple of at least one false start. I think there was a second one. Make them beat you. Don't beat yourself. Bible says you shouldn't do that, and you probably shouldn't do that in football either.
I mean, I tell you what. Asian posh Doreen didn't come to the 97.1 The Fan tent today and say hi to me, and then she had excuses afterwards. Thoughts? She's going to be mad how I said that.
Playa.
Hi, Doreen. Heater's speechless. I just left Heater speechless for the first time ever.
I don't know what to say. What could I possibly say to
because
that?
I was working. So there you go. She's like,
that's fair.
She's
100%.
a red coat. She's a red coat. It's all good. I had to give you a little shout out, Doreen. But yeah, I mean, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, people are going to be freaking out about this game. Like, just chill. They won by 28. Like, the spread was 27.5. So if you bet on the Buckeyes, which you probably were not feeling good about that if you did. But if you did, then you won that bet. But, like, regardless of that, 37-9 against this Ohio University team that came in.
A good max.
Hair on fire. Yeah. Just chill. Enjoy the bye week, and then Washington. Yes, sir.
And probably the right kind of game to have where you had to scuffle for a little bit for a half, right? Because now you have something to work on. Now the coaches have some meat and potatoes to go into improvement for the next 2 weeks. Right. If you had just come in and you rushed over them, bull rushed them 70-0 like you did Grambling. Well, what are you going to improve on over the next 2 weeks? Now you have a couple of fumbles, you have a couple of interceptions, you have bad decisions by Julian Sayin, you have pre-snap penalties, things like that. All these things that are mental mistakes that you can work on. Some physical mistakes like that bad coverage on the long play at the start of the second half. All of that is out there on tape, and you can work on that to improve as you get ready for Washington. And that's not going to be an easy trip. Washington, what's their home winning streak right now? It's like second longest in the nation, isn't it?
And I know Ohio State, they went there like, what was it, like 07. You had the game where like Brandon Sayin scored that touchdown late. I think it was 33-7.
Yeah.
And like Tressel apologized after the game for the late touchdown because he's like, I didn't want him to score. Probably the only time you're going to hear a football coach apologize for a rushing touchdown. It wasn't like they threw it. That's a tough place to play, though, man. I like their young quarterback, DeMond Williams, and they got a good running back. Yeah. I mean, I think Ohio State's going to be fine. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's a long travel. Everybody recognizes, I think, when you go east to west, 2,500, 3,000 miles, whatever it is, 3 hours of time difference. It takes a lot out of you, and I don't think they're doing anything different other than traveling early the day prior. So there's not going to be time for them to, write the time zones and their internal clocks, etc. It's tough to go coast to coast on that kind of thing. We've seen it before. We saw it last year with Oregon, and at Oregon, not the Rose Bowl, which was one of my favorite. That, by the way, the Rose Bowl. I was talking to my brother-in-law about it tonight. I think that was my favorite playoff game. By the way, we went up after losing to them and just destroyed every hope and dream they had by the end of the first quarter. What a great feel for a team that had lost it to the other team, in such a crushing way at the end of the game by a point, and you're sitting there now in the Rose Bowl and you're up. I don't even remember what it was after one quarter. It was 34-0 at the half or whatever it was. And you're like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. This feels pretty good. That's probably my favorite playoff game.
I was going to say other than Alabama, but you meant last year.
Yeah, the greatest run.
As soon as you were talking about it, I almost was like, come on, like
Alabama and
no, you're right though.
Yeah, 85 yards through the heart of the South. There's not much that can top that.
34-0 through the heart of Pasadena. That was all. I mean, seriously, it's like mid-second quarter, kind of late second quarter, 34-0.
Oh,
yeah. Guys, are you kidding me? I'll get you out of here. Any parting thoughts, my friend? I'll get you out of here on this. I know you got to get back to your wife and your friends.
Yeah. So like I said, this is exactly the kind of game that I would want if I were the coach. I have things some real meat and potatoes that I can work on. Nobody got hurt of any significance that I was aware of. And we have a new RB1. I am guaranteeing you he leads unless he gets hurt, I guarantee he leads the team in rushing this year.
I like it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. He is Heater. You can catch his immediately after the game analysis on Bucknuts right now. He moved away from heroes and zeros. He never really meant zeros, like literally. People were like, oh, how are you going to call a Buckeye football player a zero? He's like, listen, Heater fought in our military. He's not literally saying they're a zero. He just meant like in the football lexicon in a particular game, they were a figurative zero, but he's now switched it up because people did not like him calling Buckeye football players zeros. All right. Well, we got Buck Rational made it to the car, so that's good. It's good. I don't know if you should drive home, but at least you made it to the car. No. From what Buck Rational, not a drinker. Maybe he is. He comes over to the 97.1, the fan tent, looks sober. Unlike a lot of people that come over there. All right, let's get to some other things that we learned before we hear from Steve Helwagen and Pat Murphy after post-game interviews. Tim on YouTube saying I believe Julian Sand can run. Just wait. Okay. I know he can run. We knew CJ Stroud could run. We didn't see it till the Georgia game, his last game. I just think, again, I don't want to make a big deal about it because it would just take on a different narrative. But I'll just say, I think you need to have that as part of your offense. If it's 2%, whatever it is, the defense needs to account for it, or you're putting yourself at a numbers disadvantage. And how's the red zone offense look compared to last year? Ted on Facebook. I love that McElroy described our defense as schematically annoying. I love that too. He puts it in all caps. Schematically annoying. That's exactly right. I love it. Matt Patricia is schematically annoying. Love that. He really is too. I mean, you can see it. We knew, and Jim Knowles, let's give Jim Knowles some respect. He was very creative with Caleb Downs last year. I think Patricia's taking it to a different level, though. I think he's being creative on steroids with Caleb Downs. It's fun to see, and it's still funny to me all the people that doubted the hire. Patricia's coming here as head coach. It's really, you're doubting a guy that was the New England Patriots defensive coordinator for 6 years, helped them win 3 Super Bowls. And your reasoning is because he wasn't a good head coach for the Detroit Lions. And I get the Lions are good now. How about we talk about the previous 50 years of the Detroit Lions? How many head coaches did well? Not that many. And how did Urban Meyer do in the NFL? How did Nick Saban do? How did Steve Spurrier do in the NFL as head coaches? Not well. And again, Matt Patricia wasn't coming here as head coach. He's coming here as defensive coordinator. So all the people that were just chirping about how, oh, wow, that's a shady hire by Ohio State. That's a sketchy hire. I don't think that's going to work out. You can't find those people anymore. Witness protection. Schematically annoying. I like that. That's going to be right under Still Basking. My guy Buck Rational had his Still Basking shirt on. He's going to have a pencil in the ear hat with a schematically annoying shirt on. I love that. Larry on YouTube. No push on the O-line in red zone. That's a concern when you're playing Ohio. Yes, it is. And it could be mitigated a little bit by having the Q run in there. My gosh, hopefully they're just waiting until a big game. If Julian fakes a handoff and does a naked bootleg, he'll run to Delaware or he'll run to Groveport, whichever way we're going. I don't know. One way or the other, he will score a touchdown, and it will still be running. But yeah, the offensive line did not get good push, and I don't think the defensive line got enough good push. Sometimes they did. Greg on YouTube saying doesn't look to his left, he rolls out right. I will need to look for that. He seemed a little rattled tonight, and I'm telling you, like, I love his accuracy, and that was on display the first two games. But the thing that I liked the most about Julian Sand through the first two games was his poise. He never got rattled. Tonight he seemed a little rattled. Who thought you wouldn't get rattled against Texas, but you would against Ohio? We're going to go a couple from Nate here. Nate on YouTube. Stop trying to force James Peoples into the lineup. Yeah, I like Jay Peeps. I feel like he's probably the third best running back on this team. I like Bo Jackson as number one. I like C.J. Donaldson and James Peoples like 2A and 2B. You could go either way on that one. Another one from Nate. Should Tegra be starting over Ethan Onyanwa? Seems like it's really close between those two. I don't know. I mean, like, it would be really nice to have Tyler Bowen have some truth serum, and we could ask him what's going on with that. They're never going to reveal exactly what the deal is with that. It seems really close, though. And it does say a lot that nobody else is rotating except for right guard. Do you think if they loved Tegra, they felt like he was like crushing it, that they would be like, he's the one guy we're going to rotate out? Because Ethan can play. I don't know if Ethan's even played right guard. I know he's played some guard in his career. He came here as a tackle. The fact that they're putting him at right guard tells me they're like, of the 5 starters, Tegra's the weak link. Maybe I'm missing something. Is that too harsh? I don't know what else makes sense. Tell you what makes sense is Patrick Murphy when he's not upside down. How you doing?
I'm here. They won.
They won 37-9, and I'm still telling people let's not freak out. This is a good Ohio University team. Ohio State still they didn't win by 17-9, 37-9. But your main takeaways, Pat?
Yeah, it's weird because I do think there are some things that certainly need to be cleaned up. Number one's the red zone. Ryan Day talked about that. He said he didn't think it was anything that they couldn't fix, that it's stuff that, little things more or less. And I agree, like, you got to block for guys. Julian Sands got to recognize Brandon Innes when they try and run that little play they used to do with Jackson where Brandon Innes comes in motion and then goes back outside. So I think there were some mistakes down there that are easily fixable. But then you also have the big explosive plays. You like that. You like what you saw from Bo Jackson, which I'm sure you talked about already. The defense, obviously, other than the one play really with Lorenzo Styles, I thought did a pretty good job of containing a slippery guy, I think is how he was described, in Parker Navarro. When he was in there, they did catch a break that he did not play most of the first half, so that made things a little bit easier. But I still thought this defense played really well. I think the biggest thing is you now head into an off week with plenty of room to grow. And you know that coming out of that, you will start Big Ten play with your first road game. And so there's a nice target out there to motivate these guys over the next 2 weeks.
So a lot of people are saying Bo Jackson should be the starting running back, period. Your thoughts?
I think the argument got a lot stronger today. And I know we talked about it. Like, I was under the impression that, look, Bo Jackson's good, but he's going to need time. These other guys, they're going to start hitting. Well, they're not hitting. I do think the Buckeyes can do a better job with all of these running backs of calling plays that fit them. I thought in the second half they started to do some outside stuff, and that started to hit a little bit more with James Peoples, and even C.J. Donaldson had one. But you can't deny what Bo Jackson's doing, and this was a step up, obviously, in competition from last week, and he still goes over 100 yards. I don't remember how many carries he had, but it wasn't a ton, so did some good work. Another big run there on the 60, whatever it was, yard run. So I think you definitely like what you see. Now, here's the question. When you get into Big Ten play, can he pass protect? Can he, is he secure with the ball? All those things. I flash back to Dallin Hayden a few years ago when we just kept asking, like, every time we see Dallin, he looks really good, right? But why is he not getting in the game? And we never really got a great answer, but there was a lot of allusion to pass protection. And we haven't seen that with Bo Jackson yet, but you played Grambling, which you shouldn't have had much issue with. And today against Ohio University, again, a step up. But I think Bo Jackson has made his case as strongly as you could. I'm still sure that they're going to continue to use James Peoples and C.J. Donaldson, but I don't know. Maybe this does become a three-man rotation like you've been saying since like the spring. So maybe you knew something the rest of us didn't.
Yeah, right. Lorenzo Styles Jr., did Coach Day say anything about it? What's the latest with him? I know he got banged up.
Yeah, Coach Day didn't have an update. He was on the field after the game, doing Carmen. He had his arms up. And in fact, I just walked past him as I left the post-game room. He was standing out there with his family, Sonny, and some other people, and they posed to take a picture, and his arm's moving fine. I assume that's what it is. That's what it looked like from the way he landed. But, Coach Day, he said no update. But I do think it's a positive that, A, he stayed out here the whole game, was able to do both of those things. I don't know if it dislocated or what, but, now you have 2 weeks to get healthy.
So punt return, I was like, you got to get Brandon Ennis out of there. And then he had a really good punt return, his final punt return. But, overall, your thoughts on the punt return situation, just special teams overall. I mean, fielding was good tonight.
Yeah. Well, short field goals for the most part, so you expect him to make those. But he hadn't attempted.
So, right?
Yes,
sorry.
Good point.
Too soon? Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's a new season. I think overall it was better. The one bad play was Jeremiah Smith, and he still turned it into positive yards when he sort of muffed that one. The biggest thing for me with Brandon Ennis right now is catch the ball. Don't let it bounce and roll. And Ryan Day talked about that this week. He did that. Even if you have to fair catch it, you're not losing yards that way, right? So I thought that was improved. He did take off on the one that was solid. So I think that's better. I'm watching games today, getting the chance to really watch some games with this being a night game. What a novel concept. And teams with way lesser talent, Wisconsin had this big kick return, right? In the game against Alabama. It's why is this missing from Ohio State? And I think it's one of the most perplexing things of the last however many years it's been. I know there was the Caleb Downs touchdown last year, but this should be happening more and more and more. And I don't think it's, Brandon Ennis, if you'd asked me before the season, I would have said, I think that's definitely a guy who could give you some juice on returns. You're using Caleb Downs, you're using Jeremiah Smith. I think they're doing the right things. Why it's not hitting, I don't know. But I still think you're leaving stuff on the field when you're not taking advantage of that. And I still think they are trying to figure out the best way to maximize, their special teams. But yeah, I think the positive is Jaden Fielding got some work today and looked pretty good doing it.
I'll get you out here on this. This defense looks national championship worthy. Your thoughts on Matt Patricia and this defense?
Yeah, same as what we've talked about the last few weeks. This is a team that scored 31 against Rutgers. However many scored last week to win the game. So it's a good offense. I think you could probably compare it to some of the Big Ten offenses, not the elite Big Ten offenses that Ohio State will face, but similarly, a couple weeks from now in Washington, you're going to have a dual threat quarterback that can do some similar things to Parker Navarro. And I thought they were able to contain things pretty well. I don't think they showed a ton tonight. I'll have to go back and see if there was anything really new in there. I don't think they needed to, but I think you said it right. Like, this is a defense that can help you win a national championship. You got to clean some things up on offense, obviously, to get to that. Julian saying can't be turning the ball over like that. You can't have these red zone issues, but when you have a defense like that, like we saw last year, we've seen in the past, you've certainly got a shot if you're Ohio State. And then I think you still like what you got on offense with a lot of these weapons and whatnot. And you believe with Ryan Day and the staff that they have that they'll figure some of these things out, which, let's be honest here, we're talking about issues. We were talking about no issues the last 2 weeks. I mean, it wasn't perfect against Texas, but that was Texas. Grambling, obviously, the offense was crisp and whatnot. So everyone has a off game. Hopefully that's just what this was. And you go on, you get some things cleaned up, and then you go on the road to Washington and have a good game out there.
Exactly right. And it won't be easy. But you take it easy, my friend. And I appreciate you joining. He is Patrick Murphy. Thank you, sir.
See you, Dave.
Thank you to Patrick for joining. Let's bring in Steve Helwagen, also live from the best sports venue in the world, Ohio Stadium. Steve Helwagen, welcome to the show.
What's going on, Dave? Great to be here.
Your main takeaway is what?
Missed opportunities. I think, it just looked like some games that we've seen in the past when they've gotten it down inside the 10-yard line and just failed. And, I don't know that you could put some of it's execution in the run game and some of it's the play calling. I mean, I couldn't understand why twice on 3rd and goal they threw passes the first time, figuring they were going to go for it. The second time they kicked the field goal. I don't know. I mean, it's 3rd and goal to 4. If you know you're going to go for it on 4th down, I don't want to say OU took them out of anything they wanted to do past the football, because as the game wore on, saying got hot and started, completing these bombs to these guys. But in the red zone, it was a little bit more difficult. So I don't know. It's hard to put things into neat boxes and say, this was good and this was bad, because a lot of things were good and a lot of things weren't. So, and a lot of them are the same thing. I mean, Julian Sayin's great until he wasn't. And then,
Bo Jackson was really good, though.
Bo Jackson was good.
What are your thoughts on finally we have a running back named Bo Jackson who's good?
Has anybody ever had 100 yards in their first 2 games at this school? I don't know. We're going to have to look that up. And to do it with less than 10 carries, maybe Reese Claret. To do it with under 10 carries in both games too is amazing. So it's
pretty good.
Now they showed on Peacock how they blocked the big one, and for as much as we want to see, this is the offensive line issue. You don't slam it in on the goal line, but then in the middle of the field you open up this hole that you could drive 2 Mack trucks through, and he picks up 65 yards. It's like, did they play good? Did they play bad? Some good, some bad. I mean, what was it? The play call on those ones down at the goal line? I mean, what Chip Kelly,
Chip Kelly
not walking through that door, unfortunately, but they're going to live and die with what they've got.
As our guy Buck Rational he had the Still Basket shirt on. I love Buck Rational. He says, I think the zone blocking plays, this is Buck Rational. He says, I think the zone blocking plays were more productive tonight than gap. Ask Steve Helwagen. He will know about this, D-Bids.
Well, I would agree. I think you have to get a hat on a hat. I mean, otherwise they're going to shoot gaps and blow you up in the backfield. I mean, Caden McDonald, I thought he had another great game today for Ohio State.
Oh yeah,
he shows you what a great defensive tackle, how a great defensive tackle is supposed to play. So for the Ohio State line again, I thought if we're going to rate them, my God, you had almost 600 yards total offense, but you didn't convert at the 4-yard line. It's like. I wrote it. This was a sometimes maddening, sometimes dominant win by Ohio State, and
that's perfect.
And it just was enough to drive you up a wall. But at the end of the day, you're smiling. Plus, if you played minus 27, you're smiling. So there you are.
So Pat talked about this. Lorenzo Styles Jr. I mean, sounds like he's okay. Health-wise, it's great, but like he's got to play better. I mean, Jordan Hancock was great in that role last year. I'm not seeing it at a low junior.
Well, he lost vision obviously on that long pass, and that guy Chase Hendricks has had two really good games against Power 4 teams, Rutgers and West Virginia. So he's not a fourth team MAC player. He's going to be going to be their MAC probably top 2 or 3 receivers of the season. So at times Ohio looked like they belonged. I mean, they really did. You have to give Ohio credit for something. I mean, they did some great things in this game, just not enough of them to stay in it from beginning to end. And it's just as, we all wrote our predictions. I said for 2.5 quarters, this is going to be right like this. And then Ohio State just wears you out and overwhelms you and is big and nasty and strong. And, that defense just slams the car door on your head. Gave up one play today. And what a spectacular play it was by Hendricks, but in the good throw, obviously, by Navarro. Gutsy play by that kid to come back into the game after he's been injured. But, I got to tip your hat to OU. They gave Ohio State a tough game for 3 quarters, but the Buckeyes, the cream rose to the top, and better to learn these lessons in an ugly win and have 2 weeks to really, really cinch in and dive deep. I mean, I think your run defense is great. I think your pass defense is great. I think your passing game is almost great. You eliminate these interceptions, but that running game, especially in the short yardage situations, they got to get that figured out.
Let me ask you this. I get a lot of questions about Brian Hartline as offensive coordinator. First of all, Steve, I am not sure if Brian Hartline's calling all the plays. I still think like Ryan Day is at least calling some of the plays. I don't know your thoughts on that, but Nate on YouTube, he says Brian Hartline is not a great offensive coordinator. He's a great recruiter and good wide receiver coach. Your thoughts?
Oh, man. I don't know that I would agree with all that. I think, this is an hour after the game's over, and I'm not overly excited about how they approach things inside the 10-yard line. Okay? Did Chip Kelly, did he manage things differently? Did he have different concepts? I honestly can't sit here without benefit of going over, what he did last year and watching the tapes of what they're trying to do this year. I just know they didn't put it in the end zone. So that's not a good thing. And so, again, could be a young quarterback too on some of those throws in the red zone. I know he missed Ennis on one of them that was wide open, not the left flat. But he was looking to his right. So maybe Ennis wasn't even in the discussion, just as there as a decoy. But, everything's part of everything. So, you got to put the ball in the end zone, and that's all that matters. And when you get into a matchup game, Coach Day said this himself, if we do this in a matchup game, we're going to have a problem. And he's right. And there's one coming up in 2 weeks at Washington. Then, Minnesota, Illinois, whatever the order is on those games, and at Wisconsin as well. Now, Wisconsin today was terrible, but, there'll be a different team playing at home later on.
All right, man, I'll get you out of here. You have any parting thoughts? I'll get you out of here. Any final thoughts?
I think everybody just needs to relax, enjoy the next 2 weeks. It's supposed to have really hot weather here, like 80s all week. So this is one of our last good blasts of summer. Get outside this week and enjoy the outdoors and, enjoy some other college games, the NFL tomorrow, some great games this weekend. That doubleheader on Monday night looks like a killer as well. So, football season is back, that's for sure. And, just enjoy what they have, because they've got an offense that very few defenses are going to stop if they hit these passes like they have. And they got a defense that very few people are going to score against if they continue to get negative plays. And it's not even – they had 4 sacks today, which is awesome. Best game of the year in that regard. But they even had better pressure than they had sacks. I mean, those poor guys, they rarely had a clean window to throw through. So I think this defense, Matt Patricia, to me, I heard Tony Gerdeman over here on our sister station, Buckeye Huddle, over here talking about that Jeremiah Smith must be the front runner right now for the Heisman Trophy. I think Matt Patricia's the front runner for the Broyles Award right now, to come out of pro coaching and into college after 20 years and to pitch virtual shutouts like this, 3 games through. That's pretty good. 16 points in 3 games, guys. That's pretty good.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Steve Helwagen is not pretty good. He's great. I appreciate it, Wagon.
Love you all, guys. Be good.
He's the wagon. My good friend Steve Helwagen. All right, let's get you guys out of here. Answer some questions here. Billy on YouTube. 3-headed monster at running back. I think that's a good way to look at it. And I want to talk more about this defense too. Does feel like, and Ohio State players talked about this. I remember Joey Bosa talking about this in 2015. It's like, man, God, if we don't win by, and he was joking a little bit, or exaggerating. I don't know if he was joking. If we don't win 100-0, everybody's like, what's going on? That's what I'm saying. 37-9. And again, I know 37-9 is different when it's 13-9 early in the second half. You're like, we're up by 4 against OU in the second half. I get it. 37-9, though, I don't think this is time to panic by any means. Solid win, if not a great win. Solid win. Ohio State was favored by 27.5, and they won by 28. Can't really panic about that. I mean, you could. I wouldn't recommend it. Steve on Twitter /X, number 77, Tegra, had too many mistakes. Yes. And Steve, I talked about this earlier, it does say a lot to me that the other 4 guys in the offensive line, they're in there for every snap. Texas game included. Texas game, I remember because there was only 59 snaps total. 4 of the guys played 59 snaps. Tegra played 45 and 44, and Onionwa played 15. So I'm like, geez. They obviously think Tegra is the 5th best and Onionwa was the 6th best. You don't have to be a Beaver Creek high school graduate to be that good at math. I think they feel like Tegra's 5 and Onionwa was 6, unless it's a center, because Padilla is the backup center. But Onionwa, to me, is the best backup tackle and guard. And unfortunately, it does say a lot to me that he's rotating in for Tegra. Now, it could be a situation where they're just like, we've got 6 studs, and we can't just leave Onionwa on the bench. I hope that's what it is. It looks like they're just not all that confident in Tegra, which is disappointing considering this is his 4th year. I'll tell you what, though. I mean, those guys rotating at right guard, Tegra and Onionwa, that's 700 pounds of man. Both of them are 6'6", 6'7", 350. It's not even a weak link. If that's the not the strongest part of your offensive line is those 2 guys rotating at right guard. I love this offensive line. And they got to play better. I get it, but I still like this O line and this defensive line. Caden McDonald has reached the point where I'm like, oh crap, he's probably going to go pro. I'll be happy for him if he goes pro. But I was thinking, that really wasn't on my radar to begin the year, and I'm just like, oh gosh, if you're an NFL team, that guy's the perfect 1-tech. He just wrecks the line of scrimmage, but he's not just a plugger that can't do damage in the backfield. He also has quickness where he can get TFLs, he can get sacks, and of course he can wreck the line of scrimmage and not let you run up the middle. I love Caden McDonald. And it was, as Heater said, it was interesting that Malone got the start over Houston. I think, again, that is probably, or maybe it was JBook, I'm sorry. Getting all of my awesome guests mixed up. Go with your first instinct, right? I think it was Heater. That's probably them sending a message to Edric Houston because he had those pre-snap penalties last week. Because they were, pretty clear. They liked their 2 starters coming into the year, especially K-Mac. And if you guys watched it, K-Mac really worked his butt off after spring. Worked his butt off in the winter and in the spring. Then if you watched, he's working out on his own all the time during the summer. And he knew he was going to be a starter. You could make the argument. He didn't have to do that, right? But, you have to do that if you want to be great, and he wants to be great. I love Caden McDonald. And I love Edric Houston, too. A couple of Georgia boys. And I like that they're, using, as they say, it's a big sign in the WAC, tough love. I like they're using tough love with Edric Houston. It's like, you can't have 2 pre-snap penalties against Grambling. Come on. We're not going to start you the next week. We're going to throw Tywone Malone in there. Do you think they would have started Malone against Penn State over Houston? No. But this is a perfect game to do it. You got to get a guy as good as Edric Houston. You get him disciplined, where he's on point with his discipline in addition to everything else he's got going for him, and you got a stud. And I think they're going to have a stud eventually. I tell you what, I love what I'm seeing out of Bo Atkinson, Caden Curry. It was good seeing Kenyatta Jackson back in there tonight. We saw Logan George make his debut. You got CJ Hicks, Zion Grady. My friends, they're stacked at defensive end. And I tell you what, Matt Patricia was a home run hire. We joked about it today. We were doing the pregame show on 97.1. The fans, like, there was a lot of people, not you guys, mostly media, national, maybe fans that hate Ohio State, but there was a lot of chirping about Matt Patricia not being a good hire. Can you hear that chirping anymore? You can't. You cannot. Witness protection is where you can find those people now, because that was a home run hire by Ryan Day. We said it at the time. So we'll see. So off week next week. Listen, Washington is not going to be a cakewalk by any means. Ohio State's going to win the game, in my opinion, but Washington is a sneaky good team with Damon Williams at quarterback. They were better than what I thought they would be last year. Keep in mind, they lost their entire starting offensive lineup. I almost said their offensive line. They lost like all 11 starters off their offense from the team that got to the national championship game in 2023. They lost their head coach, who stupidly went to Alabama. I know they beat Wisconsin today still. I don't know what Kalen DeBoer was thinking. Just stay at Washington and be a legend, man. What are you doing going to Alabama, trying to follow not just the legend but the GOAT? But anyway, so last year Washington I thought that'd be really bad, like 3-9, 4-8. They were 6-6, so nothing great. So I was like, okay, definitely better than what I expected. They're a good team. Are they a great team? No. Are they going to contend for the Big Ten championship? No. Could they be dangerous in a one-off at their own stadium? Yes. I think Ohio State's going to be fine, but this will be an interesting game. I like that Ohio State gets to take a deep breath here. You had camp. It was all focused pretty much on beating Texas. They beat Texas. Then you had Grambling, OU. Now you get to take a little deep breath. Have the first off week. There's 2 off weeks. First off week, get ready for Washington. First road game of the year. And, again, Damon Williams is a good quarterback. He's like, I had a former Ohio State player explain it to me. They said he's like Antoine Randall, but a good passer. Not like Julian Sand, good passer. Not like an elite passer, but like Antoine Randall, athleticism, but a better passer. And we know Antoine Randall is pretty good at the football. I still can't believe Indiana, his senior year, moved him to wide receiver just because he was getting ready for the NFL, but is what it was. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. I appreciate all my guests. I appreciate all of you. Thanks to Jonah Booker, the former Ohio University defensive back, joining me here for the Ohio State OU post-game show. Thanks to Heath Schneider, a.k.a. Heater, my man in Amsterdam. Thanks to Patrick Murphy. Thanks to Steve Helwagen. And, of course, thanks to all of you. I really appreciate it. I'll be with you guys on Monday on the Bucknuts Morning 5 with Dan Rubin. Probably just talking about some of the same stuff we talk about tonight, but I'll just let Dan cook. But thanks again to JBook, Heater, Pat, and Wagon. And thanks to you. I appreciate it. I hope everyone has a great day and a great rest of your weekend. Go Bucks.